Be anxious for nothing. Do not stress about anything. Do not put any energy into worry, into fear, into doubt. Once you know that you have done exactly what you needed to do and you've resolved in your mind that this is going to work out no matter what, I'm going to continue to move forward in this direction. I'm going to put my gifts, talents, and abilities in this specific field. Once you've made that decision and you've backed it up with effort, you've backed it up with consistency, you've backed it up with strength, perseverance, and grit, be anxious for nothing. Do not give any energy to worry, to fear, to doubt, or to questioning your greatest and highest self and what you are destined to be within this lifetime. You've come fully equipped with all the things that you need to manifest and create the reality that you genuinely desire. Not the one that your mom and dad desires for you, not the one that your grandma and grandpa desires, not the one that your aunts and uncles and your cousins in the world tells you what to desire, not your partner's desires, but your desire. And if you sat down with yourself long enough, you know what you genuinely want. You know what genuinely brings you joy and what uplifts you and what supports your creativity and your balance and your cognitive functioning. Like, you know all of this. So be anxious for nothing. In the word, it says in Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7, it says, be anxious for nothing, but in all things through prayer and supplication, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your heart and mind. So you want your heart and your mind guided. You want to be in a space of peace. But the declaration at the beginning of the scripture said to be anxious for nothing. And so how powerful is that? That you can be equipped to execute and fully do what you've been called to do, but then you're also being told on the other side to be anxious for nothing. And I think that that's a sacred place of freedom when you can genuinely say, I've done all that I can. I've put in the effort that I could, and this is what it is. I'm just going to release it and I'm going to let it go. And so when people have often told me that they're waiting on God, I don't believe that God is wanting us to simply sit with our hands tied or twiddling our thumbs. Yes, that there is a season for waiting, but there's a season for toiling the soil and planting seeds and waiting for that harvest to come up. But in the midst of waiting, I think the real preparation is being diligent. It's being consistent. It's praying over what it is that you desire. It's trusting your genuine and overall process. It's knowing that it's working out for your greatest and highest good. It's not being deterred or frustrated when there are delays. It is not seeking something else to fill in the gap when you feel like something is not moving as fast as it should move on your behalf. So be anxious for nothing. I want you to write that down somewhere. Put it somewhere that you can see regularly, whether it's in the bathroom mirror, whether it's somewhere in your car while you drive, whether it's something that pops up on your phone as a reminder. Be anxious for nothing, because that worry and the fear and the doubt and the anxiety that comes up with wanting things to happen a certain way at a certain time in a certain rhythm, it's not something that actually brings you closer to your dreams and your purpose and your goals. It actually takes you further away because you're operating from a space of fear. You're operating from a space of lack. You're operating from a space of, this can't possibly happen for me. So I'm constantly going to have to be on the surveillance team, watching and waiting and hoping and wishing. And we don't have to hope and wish. We can just genuinely plant the seed, trust God, do what we need to do our part, and then just back up. That's what I believe the goal is. I don't believe that it's for us to be frustrated and constantly on the go and constantly trying to figure it out. I think there's a smooth, synchronized rhythm that goes with life once you surrender to the fact that it's not all in your hands, and that is fine. There are some things that we can genuinely control. There are some things that are within our power to shift and move, and there are simply just some things we need to back away from. And I think the learning and the growing and going through things in life is what teaches us when we need to back away, when we need to reclaim our power, when we need to hush for a second, when we need to say, I've done all I can, I'm just simply just going to put a pin on it. That's a powerful place to be. So I want you to be anxious for nothing, to trust your divine and sacred journey, to put the work in, right? It says, be anxious for nothing, but in all things through prayer and supplication. Put the work in. And by work, it's not just physical work. It's the mental work. It's the spiritual work. It's the decluttering. It's showing up with a blank slate every day, empty and being ready to pour into. What would you have me do today? That has been my prayer recently, more and more so recently. And I never really thought about it that way until I've heard different podcast episodes of other thought leaders and speakers and women in business that genuinely put God at the center of it. It's, what do you want me to do today? What would you like me to fulfill? Whom should I influence? Who are you directing me to speak to and encourage and uplift and support? What do I need to be still about in this moment? What should I be working on? Because we do have a tendency to sort of just, run the race, and we run the race without any water. We run the race without the proper gear. We run the race and we don't have a proper stop and start clock, a timer. We just go, 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 go. No direction, no ending in sight. And really not fully equipped to do what we've been called to do. So the way you preserve and save energy is when you know what your destination is, when you're fully in proper gear for what it is that you are about to take on, when you have the proper nutrition and the hydration and your needs are being met in a way that's consistent to the activity that you're engaging in. And then you can go and run your race. And so I've had a tendency of just running the race without always seeking divine counsel, without being still in my spirit and journaling and praying and meditating. That's always been part of my life, but I'm talking about the consistency behind it in such a way that it becomes a deliberate and intentional part of every aspect of my life. And that's the total game changer. And so now there is no desire to be anxious for anything. There's no desire to compare where I'm at in accordance to where the world thinks I should be. There's no desire to feel like I'm behind schedule, because I trust that what's for me is not escaping me, that it's going to be where it's supposed to be, and I'm not going to miss the mark. And that's just a part of being consistent, being diligent, doing what needs to be done behind closed doors when no one's working, having the rough days and still making the decision to persevere in the midst of that. And so it might look different for you, because I don't know what occupation that you're in. I don't know what your daily schedule looks like. I don't know who surrounds you in your tribe and in your daily community and what you have coming in and coming out and the assignments that have been given to you by life. But what I do know is anxiousness does not support the betterment of who you are. And it takes away from your God-given talent to be still, to be sound, and to know that everything is working out for me. Like, I'm a big believer that things are always working out for my good. Everything is always working out for me. And that's the way that I live my life. And I'm not changed. I'm not coming off of that. The fact that if there's a delay, it's working out for my greatest good. If it didn't work out with a specific partner or a specific business deal or a specific endeavor, it's always working out for me. That's the place that I choose to stay. And that's the place that directly serves me. And I'm hoping that your mind is sort of shifting where you begin to equip yourself with that sort of philosophy where it serves you too. Everything is always working out for you. Be anxious for nothing, but in all things, be still. Place your petition before God. Trust that what you want also wants you. And in the midst of you going forward to what you decide that you wanted in this life, in the midst of you doing that, continue to equip yourself with proper nutrition, proper exercise, a proper routine that supports your well-being. And trust that what's for you is for you, can never miss you. And so my hope is that you are not anxious about purchasing your new home, that you are not anxious about going back to school, that you are not anxious about your goal to save and to invest, that you're not anxious about, your current weight and your goals and what it is that you want to pursue and how you plan on getting there. Be anxious for nothing. You are so wonderful, so powerful, so capable, so well equipped. And now, today is the day that you reclaim that identity and trust that there is no need to be anxious for anything, and that everything is always working out for your greatest and highest good. I would encourage you to journal. I would encourage you to write out what you desire. I would encourage you to just focus on the flushing out of what's in your mind, what's in your spirit, what you want, and then begin to take actionable, inspired steps that can lead you there. And notice I said inspired, not, I just have to do this and I'm just going to do this. No, you can't fool yourself. You can't fool energy. You can't fool your subconscious mind. You can't fool God. You have to be fully aligned and arrive as the person, as the being that desires that thing. So assert yourself in that position, assert yourself in that with that authority, assert yourself within that identity, and move graciously, being anxious for nothing and trusting that it's all working out for you. Keep your spirit still. Keep your spirit focused and keep your spirit with a sound mind so that you can hear when it's time to hear, move when it's time to move, stop when it's time to stop, pause and reflect when it's time to reflect, and execute when it's time to execute. I have some resources in the description if you want to take a look further and deep diving. I spoke in my previous videos about decluttering the mind, optimizing your time, getting to your own bottom line, flushing out the gunk and the clutter and the things that no longer serve you, being able to think new, clean, and positive thoughts that empower you and encourage you to live your best days. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Thanks for tapping in. Again, just check the description below if you want to go any further listening to either my podcast or accessing some resources. I'll see you next time. Thanks.